say sometimes stress, or just thinking of how to be as efficient as possible in general?
Basically getting things done in a timely manner. Not a lot of downtime.
I'm on a clock, like someone's always watching me, what I'm doing, and I have to be accountable for my time that I spend here.
Productivity to me means spending as much time as I can in the facility with the patients, while also getting done the things that I have to do, which is the documentation. But if I can do that point of service and quickly to meet the needs of the facility, the needs of Medicare, and the needs of my company, then I should be able to also meet the needs of my patient and be productive all around.
I wish that those numbers weren't looked at in terms of like the end of the assessment for like performance reviews as much, because I think there's other measures that are more important when it comes to patient care. But I understand that it's something that the companies have to do to maximize efficiency. And
there was a point in time where it was definitely something that made me anxious, but I think that with the years that I've been a therapist and just practice and getting it down to a T, it's something that I'm relatively comfortable with. I've worked in different settings where productivity is much higher than the current setting I'm in, so I would definitely say it's something that you just have to get in the groove, and once you're in the groove, it's pretty easy to control.
There's always anxiety associated with productivity. It's just something at the beginning of the day, you look at your schedule and you see who's on it, and you wonder if you're going to be able to make it, honestly, at the end of the day through all of the patients that you have. Managed care has changed some things because, you know, initially when you first had productivity, you might have an 80% day with 6 patients, and now your 80% day could have 10 to 12 patients on it. And so, you know, I always see how many minutes I have. I start with how long can I potentially be in the building, and I have that in the back of my head all the time. And then I just try to go make my day work.
Well, I mean, like I said, you're dealing with people who, I mean, there's appointments, there's timing, there's nursing, there's so many factors that go into play with the fact of maintaining a good productivity standard. So, I mean, you learn and you'll go with the flow. I mean, you have to do what you need to do.
What do you think?
Productivity means prioritizing our day, just being efficient, treating our patients efficiently, being able to provide the best care for the best outcomes. We don't really look at productivity as a number. We look at it as, are we meeting the patient's needs?
Well, it's always kind of one of those words that nobody really likes to talk about. It's kind of one of the necessary evils, of our business. It's, I think, a way that we can help manage labor, and it's a way that we can kind of just make sure that we're staying on task and on track, and making our day as efficient as we can. There's definitely some therapists that do not like to discuss or hear the word productivity at all. And then there's a lot of therapists who've been therapists for a while, and they understand and know that it's just part of our job. And in my facility, we try to make it not so much of a negative thing. We try to talk about it in terms of labor instead of productivity, so that way, hopefully, it doesn't have as much of a negative connotation.
If you could take the word productivity out of the vocabulary, would you? Yes. What would you call it? How would you address it?
Oh, we're just getting rid of it.
Yep, that's it.
I think it wouldn't matter what we called it. It would be the expectation to bill a certain percentage of your time, and it's tough to do. Mm-hmm. It's tough to do.
When I say the word productivity, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I mean, I think the therapists think a lot about it because it's usually on their reviews, and sometimes it's a big chunk of it, sometimes it's not, based on, what you're doing or what kind of review it is. But I think that's what they think of, because they're like, oh, this month wasn't good, so this month has to be good, so that when my review comes in 6 months, it's not something that they can ding me on. Because like you said, most therapists are type A perfectionists. That's why they went to school for so long. They're usually internally motivated, and they don't like to get told or know that they're not doing something, not necessarily right, but they haven't hit the goal that they wanted to hit, because they all want to hit the goal, I'm pretty sure. So when they don't, they feel like they failed. So.
And I think there's no doubt that the word productivity has a very negative connotation to it, certainly. While we're patient caregivers and our primary goal is to take care of our patients and to improve their quality of life, this is still a business. And so understanding that piece of it, that we can't give away our services, certainly, and we need a roof over our head, and we need our equipment, and we need all those things to do our job and to do it well and to provide good care for our patients is an important piece of it. And productivity is unfortunately a part of that. And again, I think it's for rehab directors to set a positive tone in your clinic, to have an open dialogue about it, to understand when the numbers don't hit. It's not the end of the world when you don't hit once, you don't hit twice, and to work with therapists who struggle with it so they can improve. And while it will always be high on their list of things they're thinking about, you know, my hope is for my team that it's a manageable number that they feel like they can hit.
I think, like we said, it definitely has a negative connotation to it. But I do try to, people that are achieving it consistently, talk to them and say, thank you, you're doing a great job. What are you doing? What are the things that you're doing that maybe you could share with, one of the other therapists to try to help if they're the ones struggling? Because it does seem like once you kind of get there, you get there. It just sometimes it's a struggle for a therapist to get to that number or get to that.
I balance it. I try my best. I give everything I have all day long, and it's tiring and it wipes you out by the end of the day because you're just running like a chicken all day with your head cut off. And but at the end of the day, I try to do my best to have as much done as possible. And if I leave things, I have a guilt about that, but sometimes I just have to. If I have an appointment I have to get to, at the end of the day, you try not to put in time off the clock because it's not the right thing to do. But there are days when you think, do I want my job, or do I want my productivity, or do I want to leave my documentation undone? And it's a very fine line, and I try to walk it the right way and just be as ethical as I can. I think everybody struggles with that.
Yeah, I think that's real.
Yeah.